Everyone, welcome to an all-new mini episode of the LoudCasa Talks, where we will be doing some episode reviews and previews for y'all. My name is Nate, alongside is my good buddy Omid.
Hey, what's up, LoudCasa crew? How y'all doing? Hi.
So yeah, it's been a while since since Sunday, since we last talked. How have you been since that day?
I've been okay. Pretty much still keep it busy with door dashing on the side, job searching. I actually start a new job on June 1st, but it's a part-time administrative job, but honestly, what counts is the experience. So I'm pretty excited to start this new job.
That's good to hear. If you've known from last week, I'm currently unemployed right now, and right now I'm just taking some R&R. So I took this week off just to relax, and then get back on my feet next week, so I can start applying for jobs and hopefully get a job eventually. But Omid, you're on the right path, so that's good to hear that you're going back into the workforce and all.
Thanks, man. Much appreciated. And listen, it's gonna happen to you too soon. Also, honestly, when I was applying, that was the only place that reached me, and nothing else really reached me except that one particular job. Nate, I'm very confident that you're gonna get back up on the workforce as well. I'm very confident.
I'm pretty sure I am. It's just more of what is the right job? Is it going to actually get me a long-term job, long-term work over at that job instead of what happened last time? So yeah, time will tell. I'll keep on applying for jobs and let's see if I can actually land one sooner or later. But right now I'm liking the relaxing time. I've been shopping, doing some around shopping kind of stuff, things that you don't do on a weekday. Apparently there's a lot of things that on the weekdays there are just nobody around compared to weekends where it's just absolutely packed. So to say the least, I'm taking advantage of going out on the weekdays instead of going on weekends where it's just going to be all crazy and packed.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Taking the time to do a little R&R, that's really good, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll take care of that for now. But yeah, anyways, let's not get off subject here. Let's actually head over to our episode reviews. We had 2 episodes that came out for the Loud House. That was on last Friday. The episodes are Rumor Has It and Training Day. So let's actually start it off with the one that started first on Friday. It's called Rumor Has It. So the synopsis here is that Lincoln and his friends are trapped in the woods with Mr. Bullhoffner, who may not be whom he says he is. So we know coming in this was going to be a Mr. Bullhoffner episode to say. So what were you expecting from this episode, knowing this was all about him? And how did you like the plot where the rumors were all about Mr. Bullhoffner?
The moment I heard about the synopsis and when I heard that it was going to be all about Mr. Bullhoffner, I was thinking that this could actually have potential to work because it could potentially build Mr. Bullhoffner's character. It could give good insight as to why he became the way he did recently. Because, like I said before, Mr. Bullhoffner from season 4, back in Hero Today, Gone Tomorrow, is vastly different from the Mr. Bullhoffner that we know today. Because when you compare and contrast, the Mr. Bullhoffner back then was, well dressed. He was well hygiened. He was well mannered. He was very nice to his students. Compared to now, where it's he's gross, he's smelly, he has a bad attitude, he has stinky breath, on all that stuff. Simply put, he is sort of like the big bad wolf of the school, if you know what I mean.
I guess in that case, yeah, just because his attitude is just bad to his students and look like he's mean to pretty much everybody because of all of his disgusting looks and everything. But looking back, when I first saw the synopsis of this episode, I'm like, okay, we're going to have a Mr. Bullhoffner episode, which we never actually had. All about a teacher who pretty much was clean dressed back in season 4, and then in season 5 he started to be all messy and pretty much teach school in an outhouse. So first off, I was actually thinking that Mr. Bullhoffner will have we'll actually see the story of why he turned out to be a really disgusting teacher now. But unfortunately, this episode did not actually show it. It's just more of people actually spreading rumors about him. And yeah, I understand they're very hurtful and stuff. And Mr. Bullhoffner is not that. I want to ask you, how did you like the fact about the rumors that were spread about Mr. Bullhoffner.
I like how they played into the idea of the story, because with these rumors, they all build Mr. Bullhoffner up into this procession that Lincoln's friends have, this perspective of Mr. Bullhoffner, that Mr. Bullhoffner is the meanest, toughest guy who will eat you alive and all that stuff. And it was funny to hear that like these rumors come from different characters that we know. Like Stella was like,
Yeah,
I heard
about that.
I heard from Cecil,
from
who
Girl
heard
Jordan.
who heard from Girl Jordan. Yeah, technically.
And the other thing too is like they still interact with Chandler. Apparently, Chandler also heard from Zach, or Zach heard from Chandler. I don't know. Look, they're making Chandler like a good secondary character in the show. I guess he's been appearing more often now.
No, but it's so weird. Like, why would Zach listen to Chandler of all people? I mean, come on. This is a guy.
I don't know. I thought like Chandler would actually be more like listening to like, well, Lincoln will actually listen to Chandler because they're classmates. But I know that they're all in the same. They're all in the same class. They're all sixth graders. So it makes sense how they can just spread rumors rapidly throughout like lunchtime or something like that. So that's why Stella heard it from the Girl Jordan that Mr. Bullhoffner is like this, and Zach heard from Chandler that Mr. Bullhoffner is like that. I just love the fact that they I like the fact that he still implied the characters here, because we love Girl Jordan, we love Chandler, not really, but still.
We don't.
He's still apparently notable in the Loud House.
Like, how the writing is kind of funny there, like Zach heard this from Chandler directly. The thing is, though, is that when you look at how Stella told it, like what Stella said, Girl Jordan didn't tell Stella directly, which is weird. Stella told this one girl, and then that one girl told Stella. So it's kind of weird. It's like, why would Zach hear from Chandler, whatever comes out of Chandler's mouth of all people? I mean, do you not remember Zack Attack? Zach, do you not remember when he was dissing you?
When
Chandler
was also mean to Zach.
Party?
Here's what I love about the Loud House now. They're actually taking care of Chandler properly and not he's still a bully, but the thing is, like, he's like notable now of a secondary character. That's why he's being talked about more in this season compared to like previous seasons. We get it, he's a bully, but he's now being notably like known in the Loud House now, unfortunately.
Yeah, like the good thing is at least they're using him in small doses. Like, he doesn't appear.
We wanted Girl Jordan to be like such a big impact, but at least she's like being like talked about. Like, apparently, like, heard from Stella, heard from all that. So it kind of tells you that they're still close together as a group. To say, hopefully, like, we can have more Girl Jordan episodes or something like that.
Make Girl Jordan Make Girl Jordan the 7th member of the squad, okay? I'm just saying.
I want that, hopefully.
Stella needs another girl in the squad. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, the plot's about Mr. Bullhoffner. I mean, like, look, rumors hurt. And the thing is, like, with that kind of mindset, it makes sense why Lincoln and the squad were just so scared of Mr. Bullhoffner. So throughout the whole episode, it was pretty much like, you guys are with Mr. Bullhoffner. Uh-oh. It seems like this is going to be all bad news from here.
Well, actually, in terms of Lincoln himself, he's actually quite optimistic.
But then, I'm kind of proud of that. I'm like, wow, Lincoln. Then again, Lincoln it's his teacher, by the way. So he's kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna give some slack to Mr. Bullhoffner. Look, I understand all the rumors and stuff, but I'm his student, and I've heard that he's not like this. He's not like that. So yeah,
I think it's more along the lines of like Lincoln's like so used to Mr. Bullhoffner right now that whatever Mr. Bullhoffner does doesn't really surprise Lincoln. Whereas Lincoln's friends, on the other hand, they at least have a different teacher, Mrs. Salter. So since they don't really interact with Bullhoffner all that much, it does make sense for them to perceive Mr. Bullhoffner as, a more monstrous creature than what Lincoln has experienced.
Yeah, because Lincoln knows Mr. Bullhoffner by now. I mean, like, he's been spent some months already with Mr. Bullhoffner as his teacher, and I would imagine Lincoln saying like, "Dude, those rumors are not lies. I believe Mr. Bullhoffner. I don't think you guys are talking about. I don't think Mr. Bullhoffner's like this or that." Which I thought, like, oh my God, Lincoln, you're so cool, actually defending your teacher like that. the rumors are obviously untrue, but Lincoln is right there just being a good boy and just being honest and saying like, hey, Mr. Rollhofer's like not like this. I'm gonna defend my teacher. I'm gonna be proud of that. So good for
Yeah,
good for Lincoln.
like honestly, it may seem like Lincoln comes off as this teacher's friend. No, not teacher's friend. No, teacher's
Wow.
pet. I meant to say, loud crowd, Casa Group people. I meant to say teacher's pet, not the other thing. Teacher's
not the
pet.
Casa Grande's episode. Don't remind us about that, please.
Anyway, now here's the thing. I don't think it's more of a teacher's pet sort of direction that they take with Lincoln. I think it's more along the lines of, hey, I've been with this teacher for months, so I personally know him well enough to know he's not exactly that sort of, direction they take with Lincoln.
He's not that sort of like person that everybody's been saying because of the rumors and all. But yeah, good stuff for Lincoln, actually, just to defend him throughout the whole ride, by the way. So first off, the episode pretty much like is a scary scenario. I mean, like throughout the whole episode, you get to see them pretty much riding Mr. Ballhoffner. Mr. Ballhoffner drives them off to the woods, and the car breaks down, and then they go to a creepy house. It kind of feels like a scary scenario, kind of feels like a horror film, kind of feels like some sort of tense moments where you're like, oh no, hopefully Lincoln doesn't die. Hopefully Stella doesn't die.
Ooh, scary.
So, how did you like the whole setting of like this horror, like, intense moments that are happening in this episode?
Oh, breathtaking. I just loved it. Now, this is obviously not the first time that the Loud House has taken a horror, how do I put it? This isn't the first time that the Loud House has taken horror aspects and then sort of like to make a scary Loud House episode. I mean, we've seen it done before. Like, we've seen this done before with episodes like Price of Admission, One Flew Over the Loud House, which is still personally my favorite horror-themed Loud House episode ever, by the way, and also Last Loud on Earth. And each of those episodes had some sort of horror-like aspect or element to it. With Price of Admission, you've got the fear, you've got the paranoia of one who has come out of a scary movie, and they fear that a scary movie like that could actually potentially come to life. And it's pretty much the psychology, the psychosis of, a scared kid who overestimated himself when it comes to watching a scary movie. Then you got One Flew Over the Loud House, which takes a zombie apocalypse story, and then they add a new twist on it, while also presenting each and every different ideology of a character who would appear in the zombie apocalypse, like, Lincoln's idea to survive versus Lenny's idea to help her sick family. And then you got Last Loud on Earth, which Lincoln and Clyde actually thought, like, honestly, Last Loud on Earth is the combination of the horror elements and horror aspects from Price of Admission and One Flew Over the Loud House, where it combines the psychology, the psychosis, the fear of kids who have seen scary movies, fearing that this could actually come to real life, which causes them to panic and, overreact and exaggerate. Combine it with a zombie apocalypse theme to it, but they take a different angle in terms of the zombie apocalypse part. And it's the same thing here, where they decide to take a different horror aspect, take a different horror subject, and make it about, like, make a Friday the 13th angle with it. And I feel that with this one, they nailed it perfectly. Just the atmosphere, the chemistry with Lincoln Loud and his friends, the way they build up Ballhoffner's character, like, it was just stroke of genius.
I have to say this, though, like, throughout the whole episode, it was like, okay, first off, oh yeah, they're going on a field trip, and then the bus breaks down. They couldn't find two buses, so Mr. Ballhoffner now has to come in and actually take care of the kids. And you already know the scary scenario happens already. They're like, okay, Mr. Ballhoffner's going to be driving them, and after all the rumors that they've heard, it's going to be all bad. And I love the fact that it just kept on breaking down, like, we can't even go through the field trip. It's got canceled. Oh, wait, the car broke down. It's time for us to actually head into a cabin pretty much in the woods that Mr. Ballhoffner has. And I love the fact that like throughout each scenario, it's like, oh yeah, he has a basement. Oh, that basement is probably full of bodies, uh, and they're trying to find a way to escape. It's like, yeah, he locked the key from the outside, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's trapping them in the house. It's like, okay, so throughout this whole like scene, I'm like, it makes sense why Lincoln is pretty much saying like, okay, yeah, I believe you guys. I think Mr. Ballhoffner is really a scary dude.
Yeah,
but
honestly, like I said, the way they build up Mr. Ballhoffner's character more and more, they sort of like they were going in the direction in that it tricks you into thinking that they're gonna build up Mr. Ballhoffner to be the big bad guy, but then it turns out there's a twist at the end where there's actually more to the character than meets the eye.
exactly. So it was just really interesting to see like how intense it was. Just the fact that like, okay, Lincoln, you're just focusing on Lincoln and the squad and just hoping that they escape by trying to like trick Mr. Bullhoffner to like dancing or like something to at least get the key from him, which pretty much worked. And they escaped until unfortunately something happened where a bear was about to attack them. I love this fact though on this scene here. Mr. Bullhoffner actually like fights off the bear and turns out to be courageous and actually helps the kids out. How did you like this episode? How did you like this scene here where Mr. Bullhoffner like fights off the bears and became somebody else than what the rumors have been saying?
Now, this is a scene where the episode pulls the wool over your eyes and then it takes off the wool because while the first two thirds of the episode have been building up Mr. Ballhoffner to be the villain, like I said before, what makes this episode great is that they make Mr. Ballhoffner more than meets the eye. Like I said, that it turns out Mr. Ballhoffner is actually has compassion in him. Like he actually is protective of his students and he really does care about their well-being. But it's just that the reason why he's so grumpy and sort of looked at as this big bad guy is because those are just the rumors. And for a scary guy like Mr. Ballhoffner, like honestly, I felt bad for the guy. Like the rumors like spread by everyone else that you're not exactly a good guy.
You kind of feel bad for Mr. Ballhoffner, especially when when he heard about all the rumors and stuff. That's why he kind of felt down in that scene as well.
Exactly. Like it's honestly really heartbreaking. And especially for people who have been in Mr. Ballhoffner's situation where you're pretty much an outcast because of rumors. Like honestly, that is just it's no wonder Mr. Ballhoffner has turned out this way. Honestly, it's because of the nasty rumors. However, I will say one thing though. I think one thing that I would have loved to see is like how Mr. Ballhoffner went from teaching in a classroom building to a trailer. How he turned from the Mr. Ballhoffner that we have seen in the past with Hero Today, God Tomorrow, to the Mr. Ballhoffner that we know now.
Yeah, I have to say this though. I mean, like the way that people portrayed Mr. Ballhoffner. I mean, like, yeah, the rumors kind of hurt and stuff. That's the reason why, like, throughout this whole episode, you get to see the kids just get terrified of Mr. Ballhoffner until Mr. Ballhoffner actually did something courageous and fought that bear, and that made everybody think like, oh, Mr. Ballhoffner's not the rumors after all, and Mr. Ballhoffner turned out to be a really cool guy. Although unfortunately, he did get depressed the fact that all the rumors are pretty much talked about him. And throughout that last couple of scenes, I really thought that that Lincoln and the squad really redeemed themselves after like just avoiding Mr. Ballhoffner and just doing a lot of things to him throughout the episode. Especially when in that last scene where they presented like presentation to the whole class and showed that Mr. Ballhoffner is a really cool dude, and that made everybody's like perception of him pretty much so much different compared to what the rumors have said. So to say the least, Lincoln and the squad actually stepped up and said, hey, this is not Mr. Ballhoffner here. We'll show you. We have video evidence. And then everybody loves Mr. Ballhoffner again. How'd you feel about that last scene there?
Hey, he's not Mr. Skullhoffner anymore. He's Mr. Coolhoffner. Honestly, like it made me really happy to see that Lincoln and his friends helped portray Mr. Ballhoffner as a hero in a sense. Instead of the villain that the rumors made him out to be. Like I said, it was nice to see the compassion from Lincoln and his friends, especially when they sort of like pay him back for him rescuing them from the bear. So I feel that I feel that there should be like after this episode, honestly, I feel that there should be a more friendlier bond between Lincoln and Mr. Ballhofter. Like Mr. Ballhofter isn't going to pick on Lincoln nearly as much after this episode.
Oh, please,
hopefully.
I hope not. I hope there's going to be a continuation on that. Let's just say, like, after what Mr. Ballhofner has said to Lincoln, or what Lincoln has done to Mr. Ballhofner, I'm pretty sure that friendship between Lincoln and Mr. Ballhofner does get better. Although, to be honest, we have never seen an episode since school since Lincoln and Mr. Ballhofner actually, interacted.
Yeah, where was that? Where was that? Yeah, honestly,
to the writers, there's no continuation on that.
I'm just gonna say this. Like, if I were Lincoln, the next time Mr. Ballhofner picks on me or screams in my face, I'm just gonna say, "Okay, Mr. Coolofner."
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like here's the thing.
Well, if they were gonna put another episode with Lincoln and Mr. Ballhofner again, it just has to show that Mr. Ballhofner is not as mean to Lincoln compared to like back in school.
I agree. It's a nice touch of continuity.
Let's just hope that happens. All right. So, anything else you want to put up in this episode?
Let me see. Let me think. There's something I wanted to say, but what was I going to? Oh God, yes. Lincoln's middle name. Let's talk about it.
It's always
been
Albert. It has always been Albert. I think everybody was thinking it was Oliver because of the whole caption.
That's the thing.
But it was Albert the whole time.
We all thought that it was Lincoln Oliver Loud, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, why Oliver? And I sort of put up this joke where it's like, okay, instead of the Clinton McLeod squad, we should call Lincoln squad Oliver and Company. We all thought that Oliver was Lincoln's middle name, so I thought, okay, let's call the squad Oliver and Company now. So, but then, like after it's been revealed it's actually Albert, I was thinking
it made sense, right? It made sense that it was Albert because his mom's father's name is Albert, which makes sense.
I was thinking to myself, LoudCasa crew, we have made a big mistake. We should have gotten the middle name right, but
that was more of a caption error. That was more of them screwing up with the caption. I'm pretty sure the voice actor knew about
don't
Albert.
Blame us. Don't blame us. Blame whoever was in charge of the caption. Okay, like he should be fired. Okay, he's made the mistake. All right, don't blame the messenger. Don't blame the messenger. Blame the message. Anyway, now with Lincoln's middle name being Albert, it makes a whole lot more sense. I'm so glad that they stuck with Albert instead. Because like you said, Albert is technically the name of Lincoln's Pop. So I'm thinking, why not go with Albert? Because out of all the Louds, Pop shares the strongest bond with Lincoln. I think Lincoln is Pop's favorite grandchild.
Yeah, that's true. Well, then again, like Lincoln and Albert have pretty much hanging out throughout like most of like Loud House. That
also,
is until
white hair. They have
and the white hair,
too.
right? The resemblance of the white hair, so it kind of makes sense. Lincoln Albert Loud. Oh man. But yeah, besides that, I think nothing much to say about the episode. I have to say, well, then again, also one thing to point out, Mr. Ballhofner is an excellent dancer. It seems to be. Apparently, he taught Rusty some good dance lessons. And then in the end, the last scene, you get to see Mr. Ballhofner dance with a mop. So it kind of tells me like, maybe he could open up his own like dancing studio, or maybe he could probably teach dancing lessons to probably somebody in a prom or a junior high dance or something like that. Mr. Ballhofner could probably have like a future in that. Who knows?
I'm thinking that there should be an episode centered around Mr. Ballhofner dancing. Like either him opening up a dance studio or
I hope
trying to ask.
I hope like if he's trying to impress a girl because he has ex.
Mrs. Saltner. So... It's got to be Mrs. Salter.
What? Really? You think Mr. Saltner and Mr. Ballhofner could be a thing?
But then again, okay. But imagine this. Okay, so Lincoln says, "Hey, Mr. Ballhofner, why don't you ask Mrs. Salter to the dance?"
Don't tell me this is going to be Teachers Union again. Because they tried that before and it was terrible.
No, but hear me out. And then Mr. Ballhofner goes, "Mrs. Salter, oh, she's married." And then Lincoln's like,
"Oh, come on."
Oh, no, Mr. And then Lincoln's like, "Oh, no, Mr. Ballhofner.
He's single. What happened to Mr. Salter?
Mr. Salter. And then Lincoln's like, "She doesn't like to talk about it."
He better not be blow. He better
They
not be a
gotta add
lamp.
there.
He better
They
not be
got-
a lamp, or else it's gonna be a
They-
dark episode.
They gotta add that there. I feel they gotta add that there if they're
Oh
gonna
my
do an
God.
episode of that.
Okay. All right. Besides that, time for the ratings. How would you rate this episode?
Honestly, I'm gonna rate this a 9 out of 10. Honestly, it is it's a magnificent and horrifying Loud House experience in a good way. Because of the way that they built up this horror atmosphere, and then they combine it with a good Loud House story with a good moral about how you shouldn't judge a person based on rumors. And it combines to make a solid episode. Like, Mr. Ballhoffner is more than meets the eye. Lincoln Loud at his mode optimistic is just so pure to watch. And also the fact that Lincoln and his friends work really well here. Like the chemistry and the strategies and plans they come up with in order to face off against Mr. Ballhoffner. You know, stroke of genius, like I said, just all of it. You know, I gotta say, like, this was one Kulofner of an episode.
Cool Hoffner. Wow. I think we're going to put Cool Hoffner now after this episode. But for me, I would say the tense environment throughout this whole episode and just the point of the episode where rumors pretty much hurt people, and the fact that Lincoln redeems this whole squad with showing that Mr. Ballhoffner is not what people say he is. I have to say 9 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 as well. I think this episode was really entertaining. The fact that, like, it started off cool, and then it started off with, how do you say, with the intense environment. You're just hoping that nobody got killed or anything like that. So
exactly, they build up the suspense. Like, even though we know they're going to make out in the end, obviously, like the way they built the suspense and the way they made it like a thriller sort of thing too. Like, oh my God, like honestly, the Loud House staff, you know, perfected it. They perfected a horror.
I think they did a good job
episode.
with it. Yes, and I have to say, like, if you keep on putting like more horror episodes like that, I'll be down for that.
Yeah, imagine this. Like, imagine Loud House making a psycho themed episode where they have a psycho reference.
So I'm gonna expect somebody about to die in the shower.
Like, I would expect, you know,
like Lenny, like die in the shower.
like either Lola or Luann with a knife.
Oh, well, I would expect Luann. So the next April Fool's joke.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. But yeah, I would say pretty good episode. So rumor has it, I would say really good episode for all of us here. Anyways, so let's move on to the second half of Friday's episode, the episode called Training Day. The synopsis here, my app closed. Okay. So the synopsis here is that Lana gets more than she bargained for when she takes on Stella's untrainable bunny. So coming in, we were expecting a whole lot of Stella and Lana interactions because the fact that it's a Stella and Lana episode and you never expect to see like Stella and Lana to actually meet up and hang out with each other. Were you expecting like, oh, hopefully we get to see more of Stella and Lana together?
Yeah, honestly, there was it was building up to make it seem like it's going to be a Stella and Lana pairing episode, but unfortunately in this one, Stella and Lana don't share as much screen time as we
y'all thought it would. You all thought it would be.
Guzun died. I'm saying Guzun died. I'm saying Guzun died to myself. Anyway, so we all thought that Stella and Lana would share an episode together, but it turns out that Stella only had some brief scenes with Lana, and that's pretty much it. So what it lacks on Stella and Lana screen time together, it more than makes up for pretty much everything else. Like, this was a solid Lana and also solid Loud Twin episode.
I gotta say this though, like I kind of saw this at the beginning. This is gonna be more of a Lana episode. I did talk about this in the previews last week, because the fact is that this is Lana dealing with Stella's bunny, and yeah, this was more of Lana just pretty much taking care of a bunny, and throughout the whole episode, it was pretty much this buddy named Jazzy just pretty much messing up Lana's like interactions. It's like, yeah, I'll try my best to actually train you, but you just keep on like beating up my face. So I don't know. So obviously throughout the whole episode, I'm like, Jazzy, what's wrong with this bunny? Throughout every process that Lana has gone through, it's like, okay, this bunny is really bad. But the thing is, like, look, Stella pretty much told Lana's like, hey, I need you to pretty much train it for the whole weekend. So you obviously know that this is going to be a Lana episode, not a Stella and Lana episode. But throughout the whole like previews and everything like that, we're all thinking, oh god, hopefully it's a Stella Lana. Hopefully Stella and Lana interact more, like like what Sam and Lana did when that one podcast episode came out.
Yeah, definitely. And even Sam and Lana shared more dialogue with each other than Stella and Lana here.
Right.
Honestly.
So you were expecting something like that, but unfortunately, it was more of more of a Lana episode instead. But yeah, so the episode aired, and this is where Stella was introduced to the bunny. To say the least, Lana really had a tough time with the bunny. So explain your thoughts when Lana tried to train this bunny to become nice and stuff.
I was thinking to myself, okay, what the flip is this rabbit's problem? Like Jazzy, for no reason, or so we thought in the first 2/3 of the episode, like he's a massive wreck to deal with. Like he is just, as Stella puts it, one bad bunny. Like he tears up the house, he tears up, property, he tears up everything.
He tears up Mr. He tears up Mr. Coconut.
He tears up Mr. Coconut. I'm like, how could you? How could you do this to Mr. Coconuts of all people? Okay, sure. Yeah. Lincoln's comics. Okay, you shouldn't have done that. Okay. Lynn's ponytail, whatever. But Mr. Coconuts, he was so young. Anyway, so he tears up everything, right? And so pretty much Lana does all she can to pretty much help train the bunny. But then it turns out that in the last third, there's a reason why Jazzy turns out the way that he did. We're going to touch upon that later, I believe, or I should give out a reason why. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But the thing is, like, dude, I feel bad for Lana in this episode just because Lana did through. But he pretty much like treated through all of the pets that were there. Like, you got to see Bitey, you get to see Hops, you get to see pretty much all the pets there. They were all trained by Lana, and Lana pretty much is like the pet whisperer to all of those pets. But then
I know, I was
when
thinking,
he gets, yeah.
Poor Lana, right? Poor Lana. I feel bad for her.
Yeah, and then Lana has a task of this brand new bunny who Stella, said that he's a bad bunny. So even if Stella tried to train that bunny, I know that she would actually have a tough time like what Lana did. But like you never expect Lana to actually like have a bad time with this bunny, considering that Lana is a pet whisperer and all. So yeah, I do feel bad for Lana, just the fact that like she did all this training, but then throughout the whole time, she tore up the house. She escaped so many times that obviously made Lana upset. I kind of feel bad for her, especially when she was like saying she was about to give up, and I'm like, oh, you never expect to see Lana to be so sad like that,
You wouldn't really blame her if she actually did give up, because let me tell you, that bunny is more than a handful.
Stella has bad bunnies, but then again, she was a bunny. She was a bunny herself in that one episode. White hair,
and that's another thing. That's another thing. They didn't use the white hair model. They should have used the white hair model.
I'm kind of mad about that. I'm like, I really wanted the white hair model of Stella's bunny. Would have been a nicer bunny, but nah. Someone's going with the allergies today, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with me, but go ahead and continue.
Anyways, yeah. So yeah, I would say I just feel bad for Lana, just the fact that she continues to try to help out with Jazzy, but continues to get beat up in the face because Jazzy's just continuing to be a bad bunny. But anyways, yeah, the training process turns out to not work at all. But eventually, Lana would find Jazzy in Ridingers, and this is where they actually found that he actually has a twin. And this made it up to the pretty good point here that in the episode here, where Jazzy has a twin, Lana has a twin, and it makes sense that these two, that the twin factor actually comes into play. And this was kind of a surprise to me too. I'm like, I didn't expect to actually see Lola and Lana actually have an episode together where they're actually having some wholesome moments, just like what happened with Stella's bunny Jazzy and its twin. So to say the least, like, this turned out to be a wholesome episode between Lola and Lana and Jazzy and the other bunny. So how did you like this part of this episode?
Oh my God. It is just wholesome. It is so touching. Like, oh my God. My heart just melted when I saw Lana and Lola together in this episode. Like, honestly, I just love the fact that this episode shows a message of how special twin sibling relationships can be. Like,
Hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but then again, like we don't have like twins. We don't know any much about the twins factor and
yeah,
stuff like that. But
I mean, sure.
you've seen twin episodes before, but not as good as this.
I mean, sure. Older and younger sibling relationships are touching as well, but it's just something about, twins being the same age, looking identical as they are, that make it especially, heartwarming, that make it especially wholesome. And it's demonstrated here in this episode where Lana and Lola continue to show why they're my favorite loud sibling duo in the show. Because although they are vastly different in terms of personality and interests and all that kind of stuff, and though they do argue at times, just the fact that they're always there for each other, they respect each other's differences, and just the fact at how they know each other very well, even going as far as to use their own twin language, and also the fact that they help each other out with their own problems. Like, for example, Lola letting Lana borrow her car in order to find Jazzy, and also with Lana taking care of fixing Lola's car and also fixing Lola's zit. Like, those small little details really does show how this twin sibling relationship has, always been one of the very best of this series, hands down. And also I also love how near the end, when the reason both Jazzy and Snazzy have been so aggressive is because they miss each other. It really shows that like the bunnies twin relationship is just as wholesome as the loud twin siblings relationship. Just the fact that they can't live without each other, they can count on each other, they need each other, and also the fact that you know just the fact that when Jazzy and Snazzy reunite, that's when they become good, and just the fact that, oh my god, one of the best closing shots, honestly, one of the best closing shots I've ever seen in a Loud House episode. Something with head pose anxiety. Just the fact that you got Lola, Lana embracing the twin rabbits.
Yeah,
really
I thought
does
that
show
was
the
really
fact.
cute too. I thought it was really cute too. Just the fact that in that last shot, it was like those two holding the twin buddies. It's pretty much how the twin siblings are.
It pretty much says it all. I like how both of the twins' relationships parallel each other.
I have to say so too. So it definitely was a really cute moment. Just the fact that Jazzy and Snazzy both share a twin relationship, just like Lola and Lana. It just makes you think that Lola and Lana's relationship are just like that. They cannot be split. They always rely on each other. You can't split them apart because Lola and Lana are like really great together. And that moment right there just makes you feel like, look, Lola and Lana are going to be like twins forever, and they're going to be twins. And no matter what fight, no matter what happens, they're bound to be like sisters together, and it shows over in that episode. I mean, that one moment there, and throughout the episode too, because like Lana was trying to help Lola with her stuff, and then Lola's trying to help her with Lana's stuff, plus the twin language that they also have too. So it was really fun just to see how Lola and Lana continue to interact with each other. But like I said, we have seen a lot of Lola and Lana episodes already, like Sister Act, was it patching things up, those episodes. And I believe this one actually really does top the cake there, just telling you how Lola and Lana are as a pair together, and it really does work in this episode.
Yeah, I agree. And also, here's a little thing I've noticed too, is that, is it just me, or was it coincidental or intentional that they use rabbits as the animals that Lana has to take care of? Because when you do think about it, the Loud House was originally meant to be a series that centers around anthropomorphic rabbits.
Right,
so
that's
honestly,
true.
I felt that was a nice touch that the episode pulled off.
It
was a nice little Easter egg.
It was a little callback to the early concept.
Yes, it's a nice little touch. It's a nice little Easter egg to its original concept. So I like how they used twin rabbits in order to really enhance the episode and its wholesome message.
I would say so too. And well, then again, it was a pretty. I didn't think about that actually. I didn't know that was an interesting little tidbit there about Omid putting up the fact that it's bunnies. But anyways,
Yeah,
anyways,
it could be a coincidence. It could be intentional. Honestly, that's up for debate.
still though, I mean, Stella has a bunny, and it's a cute bunny, even though she might be a little bit like jazzy and just being all messy and stuff like that. Hopefully with the twin is going to be much better with Stella's bunny and all. Anyways, anything else you want to point out in the episode?
Yes. I also want to say that honestly, like this episode shares a similar trait to its sister episode. And you want to know what it is? You want to know how these two episodes are similar?
What?
Because they show a ferocious character. They build up said ferocious character to be like the big baddie of the episode, but then it turns out at the last third, there's actually more to the ferocious character than meets the eye, or there's actually a legitimate reason as to why the character is ferocious in the first place. Like with Rumor Has It, you got Mr. Bollhoffner being portrayed, being built up to be this big bad monster of a teacher, but then it turns out the last third, it's just that his feelings were hurt due to massive rumors. But then there's more to meet the eye for that character. This episode shares kind of similar traits to that, where you got Jazzy, this bad bunny who goes around like tearing up stuff, like wrecking up everything, making Lana's life a living hell. Now, the first 2/3 do establish that the bunny is one ferocious bunny, like even more so than a werewolf. But then it turns out that the last third, there's actually a legitimate reason as to why Jazzy is ferocious in the first place. Just like there was a reason as to why Mr. Ballhopper himself was ferocious. And that's because of the fact that Jazzy was separated from his long lost, loved twin sibling.
Okay, so that makes sense there. Okay, that's a good point to point out. I didn't know it actually would be comparable to Rumor Has It.
Yeah, it's a similar theme.
Makes me think about it. Makes me think about that, actually. I was just thinking it's more like horror theme compared to like this, which is more like a relaxed theme, but with a monstrous little bunny that's just trying to wreck up like Lana's little mojo here. One thing I also want to point out, there was a lot of moments where I was thinking there's going to be a Stelican moment, but no, that never happened.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking about that. Like, I was thinking, I was kind of surprised that Lana never mentioned that, hey, Stella, are you and my brother dating?
Oh my god, no, not like that. It's more like, I think, no, I wouldn't imagine saying that where Lana's going to say like, wait a minute, do you know, like, I like how Lincoln and Stella are like, you guys are like close together like that, and then Stella being blushy and stuff like that. I wish in a scenario like that, but I hope, it doesn't show obviously, but there was like potential moments where it's like, yeah, there could have been like a thing where like, Lincoln could confirm Stella and things like that. That's my little fantasy, to be honest.
I think it's because that the writers know themselves that Ronikin is endgame no matter what.
Yeah, well then you gotta talk to the writers of the graphic novels, because they're the ones who actually are putting Ronikin. They're making Ronikin to be over the graphic novels.
So that could be another reason too, as to why we never got a
They really got to confirm shit now. I swear to God. All right, let's go do the ratings. So, how would you rate Training Day?
I would rate this a 9.5 out of 10.
Wow, really? 9.5? Wow, that's pretty stellar over there.
Honestly, this is one of the best Lana episode, as well as the best twin episode. Just the fact that this episode especially does establish like the deep bond and the deep chemistry that the unique, vastly different yet very identical twin sisters have with each other. The twin language, them doing favors for each other, and having a twin animal duo that parallels the relationship of Lana and Lola. Like, oh my god, like honestly, it really touched my heart. And like I said, it's possibly the most wholesome that I have seen in terms of a Loud sibling bonding episode. And it further cements why I feel that Lana and Lola is quite possibly my favorite Loud sibling duo.
Yeah, I have to say this too, that I really do love the whole bonding between Lola and Lana. At first, we were just thinking it would be a Lana and Stella episode where like they were going to interact more, but it was more. I had a feeling it was towards the Lana episode, but I didn't expect it to actually be a Lola and Lana episode, where apparently twins are absolutely wholesome, that they need to work together in order to make things work. You seen it with the bunnies, and you also seen it with Lola and Lana. And no doubt about it, this was a cute twin episode between the two of them. I gotta give this a 9 out of 10 as well. Both these episodes are actually pretty good. I mean, rumor has it with the horror setting and the fact that this is just a wholesome episode between Lola and Lana. No doubt about it. I think we had ourselves a good pair of good Loud House episodes this Friday or last Friday.
Exactly, and especially the fact that like they have this similar theme that I was telling you about. The more than meets the eye sort of message.
Right. There's more than meets the eye. It's more than what you look at over in the episode. It's the meaning behind it that makes it more heartwarming to say.
Definitely.
All right, so that's pretty much those 2 episodes of The Loud House that aired last Friday. But we have 2 new episodes of The Loud House that airs this Friday, coming tomorrow actually. So let's actually share our thoughts on how these episodes are going to be. First one that comes out is called Director's Rut. The synopsis here is that Luann turns to Mr. Coconuts after she struggles to direct her school play. Omid, I want to share your thoughts on how this episode is going to be, and how do you think this episode is going to play out?
Honestly, as a theater graduate myself, as someone who's done a lot of theater myself, I'm very much excited for this one. Not only that, but it's also a Luann-centric episode, and Luann is my second favorite Loud House character, right behind her roommate. So I love how it especially centers around theater, because I've done a lot of theater myself. So I actually am curious just to see where they go with this, especially when you have Mr. Coconuts directing as well. Like, honestly, I know a lot of people have been annoyed by Mr. Coconuts as a whole and how Luann, relies on him too much, but honestly, like, when I look at it deeply, it's actually an interesting take on Luann, because Mr. Coconuts represents a more abrasive side of Luann that she wouldn't show herself. You know what I mean? So I think Mr. Coconuts is more of Mr. Coconuts represents Luann's abrasive side, like I said,
like a more aggressive side, right? Like, Luann can be that sweetheart, but at the same time, Mr. Coconut is pretty much the person where Luann can be a jerk.
That too. Aggressive too. Yes, aggressive too. Like, I feel that, like Luann does her best, to be a civilized girl in a sense, but, and her using Mr. Coconuts is a way of, venting out Luann's emotions. It's Luann's way of, letting out any thoughts that, like, let's just say, how they say, like, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. I think this means that, whatever not so nice thing that Luann wants to say herself, but she can't, like, she tries to keep it internally. I feel that she uses Mr. Coconuts as a way to express that, like, to pretty much, let it out.
I see. So, yeah, I'm kind of weirded out about how this episode is going to be, because I understand this is Luann's, like, big director debut. Like, he wants to direct this play, but at the same time, it looks like the people who are acting in this play don't like it at all. I feel bad, too, because Benny, I think, is in this episode as well. And it tells me, like, Benny doesn't like Luann. Benny doesn't like Luann's direction here. Are you kidding me?
Benny, be more supportive of your girlfriend, man.
Exactly, yeah. I would imagine like a Luann and Benny moment hopefully happening in this episode. It's like, yeah, you have Mr. Coconuts that you control, continue to be so, uptight about it. And then obviously you're the one who's controlling Mr. Coconuts. So Benny has to be the one to go over there and say, like, hey, Luann, let's talk about what you're doing with the direction and stuff. We don't like it, et cetera, et cetera. So obviously Luann is going to be pissed off about that, having Mr. It's going to be kind of crazy. But yeah, I really hope that there's going to be a Benny and Luann moment happening.
Yeah, honestly, I feel that the direction that they're going to take with Luann and Mr. Coconut being directors, this is going to be a good cop, bad cop scenario. But However, instead of good cop, bad cop, it's good director, bad director. Where you got Luann trying to be nice to her actors, to her cast and crew, like trying to be as nice as possible while trying to make her play work. But then you got Mr. Coconuts, who's like pushing the actors too hard, pushing her staff too hard. And it's up to a point where it's sort of like sets up a conflict between Luann and Mr. Coconuts when it comes to their different treatments of the actors. And it's very interesting to point out because, like I said before, Mr. Coconuts represents Luann's other side. So honestly, the way I look at it, Luann and Mr. Coconut's directing is pretty much Luann as a whole directing.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the way that Luann is trying to portray it is that he doesn't want to be too mean. So at the same time, she brings out Mr. Coconuts just for Mr. Coconuts to just be all tentative and just be aggressive at them, just saying, hey, do this, do that. And I'm pretty sure the actors are going to be not liking that. By the way, I have a feeling Mr. Coconuts is something. It's something. It's like Luann is not really controlling. I understand that Luann is controlling it with her arm and stuff like that. And there's been some moments where like Mr. Coconuts does his own thing, and like he moves by himself.
Lola,
he talks by himself.
He scares the hell out of Lola at the end of Stage Flight.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of tells me like maybe he's actually a real person to say. Oh, puppets are weird, guys. Puppets are weird.
Yeah, I kind of want to see.
I would not be surprised at the end.
Episode.
I would not be surprised at the end because like during that sneak preview that we saw over on Twitter, I mean, all the actors were wondering like, is that Luann holding directing with Mr. Coconuts or something like that? But throughout the whole scene, you don't see Luann at all. It's pretty much Mr. Coconuts. So it kind of tells me like,
it's weird.
Is Mr. Coconuts a real person or not?
I kind of want to see another horror themed episode of the Loud House, like where they do this sort of like Chucky direction with it, and have Mr. Coconuts be the Chucky of the Loud House.
Oh my god, that'd be so creepy.
or that one puppet from Goosebumps. Yeah, like do a homage, do reference to that one puppet from Goosebumps, so the recent Goosebumps movie. I never really saw it, but I've seen that puppet. Let me tell you, he is nasty. He is dude, he is freaky, man. He's
okay. But yeah, I have to say, like, I'm actually looking forward to this episode because I haven't seen a Luann episode in so long. So hopefully we get to see some good moments for Luann. Hopefully a Luann and Benny moment. But then again, it looks like this is more of a Mr. Coconuts episode. And if it's going to be that way, then that's pretty good because we never seen Mr. Coconuts be this like active like this.
Yeah, no, we've seen Mr. Coconuts like active before, but I think that Director's Cut is him at his most active.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say here. So yeah, hopefully. But I would imagine more emphasis on Mr. Coconuts. But of course, this is a Luann episode, so obviously the focus point is on Luann here. So we can't wait. She's my second favorite. She's my second favorite Loud, I think. Yeah, second favorite Loud compared to like Lori, who's my number one, obviously. But yeah, I can't wait for it. We haven't seen Luann in so long. She finally has an episode, so yeah, we can't wait for this. Now, the second episode that also airs on Friday is called Friday Night Fights. I'll show you the synopsis here. I just turned off my pad again.
Friday Night Fights.
So Lisa joins Lynn's football team as the analytics coach to prove that math always beats out heart. So what are your thoughts on this episode, Amin? And how do you think this episode is going to play out?
I have for the longest time wanted to see a Lisa and Lynn bonding episode because I feel that the duo actually works better than most people think. Because when you do think about it, you've got Lisa's brains with Lynn's brawn, and when you mesh them together, when you have that combination, when you have that duo, let me tell you, like, honestly, it could pretty much dominate the world. You know what I mean? Like, I feel that, like, the team up of the brains of Lisa and the brawn of Lynn, like, they're sort of a match you don't want to mess with. So honestly, I kind of want to see what they do with this one.
I can't wait to see how this goes. I never expect to see a Lisa and Lynn episode because, we always get to see like bonding episodes between sisters. I mean, like we had the Luann and Lucy episode, Head Poet's Anxiety. We had like other sisterly bonding episodes as well, but I never expected to see Lisa actually step up and actually work with sports with Lynn. And this one is actually going to be pretty interesting considering that, yeah, I understand Lynn is totally passionate to sports. Lisa is more of a person who loves to like bring up the numbers and stuff like that. So, you know, if both of them work together, they're going to eventually like win a championship and stuff like that. So I don't know how particular this is going to be, but I love the whole interaction that Lisa and Lynn are going to work with here. So from all the previews and stuff, it just tells me that this is going to be a pretty fun episode. Hopefully there won't be real fighting that happens in this episode, but we'll see how it is. Lynn is just a passionate football player. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that like what this episode, I think the episode's potential strength is showing that how sports is more than just brawn. Like sports is more than just, you know, playing and, you know, being macho and all that. Like sports is also about strategy. It's about numbers.
It's a mind
Exactly.
game too.
So honestly, it takes more than just brawn to win sports games. It also takes brains because you got numbers, strategy, and all that stuff. So I kind of want Lynn to learn this lesson too from Lisa, where sports is not all about this. It's also about this. You know what I mean?
hopefully at the end, Lynn will actually understand that. So like if she is like a quarterback kind of game, who knows? Hopefully she could be a better football player based on what Lisa has pretty much taught for her. One more thing I also want to point out, I did also see Lori in the stand, so it kind of tells me that Lori is coming back for this episode, and I'm like,
yes, like this really does go to show. This goes to show how perfect of a big sister Lori is. Just the fact that she's willing to travel far distance to watch her siblings do her thing.
She supported all of her siblings, like Lincoln's play, Lola's birthday, and even Lynn's game. So, she's not out of the picture yet. She's at least there just to show support. Hopefully she has a line in the episode.
But that's exactly what I mean. Just the fact that it isn't Lori's first time traveling to Royal Woods to support her siblings, that's what makes it especially touching. And that's what makes me, respect Lori even more. The fact that she's traveled so many times to see so many of her siblings do their own things. Yeah, honestly, I really like that detail when it comes to Lori.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So I can't wait. I mean, I'm just there mostly to see for Lori, but of course I also want to see like how Lynn and Lisa actually bring an episode together. Hopefully it's going to be really good. But yeah, that's pretty much it for our reviews, our episode reviews and previews. So thank you very much for those who have been checking out on stream. Just a reminder that you can also check out our LoudCasa Talks whenever you listen to podcasts like Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all that kind of podcasts where you ever listen to. And remember to check out our YouTube as well. If you are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell whenever we also come on for videos and stuff. Our next LoudCasa Talks will be this Sunday as we discuss what we think of the new the rock star of the Loud House, Luna Loud. Of course, Omid is going to be really happy about discussing this episode. We're going to be discussing about how her future is going to be in season 5 and beyond. It kind of tells me that she's going to be having a future with Sam and possibly a possible career with the Moon Goats, but we'll discuss more about that in our next LoudCasa Talks on Sunday. Look at this guy already getting all crazy for Luna.
Yes, go check out our Sunday episode.
Okay, anyways, that's pretty much it for us here. That's it for us tonight. Hopefully you guys will see you on Sunday for our next LoudCasa Talks. Anyway, my name is Nate.
And this is Omid saying thank you all so much for watching our episode. And until next time, smell you later, dudes.